Hello everyone, my name is Atul and welcome back to my channel. Now this is a lesson 3 and this time we'll be learning Kubernetes architecture. In this lab or in this tutorial, so what we'll be learning? We'll be learning Kubernetes architecture and Kubernetes architecture is showing in the diagram below and it comprises of control plane and a data plane. So the one which is visible in the left side, so this is called as a control plane and the weather whatever comes showing in the right side it is showing as a data plane. So what control plane is having a master node and a data plane having a nodes like a worker node 1 and a worker node 2. Okay, so this is very brief diagram which I received it from Kubernetes website. So this is the basic diagram. Now let's move toward a Kubernetes architecture in detail way. In this Kubernetes architecture, there are the four major components. So there are some more component, but this is the major component. This is a diagram from CNCF website. So let's discuss about the four major component. It is the control plane. So here again it's showing like it's a control plane, and here entire one is called as a data plane. So here data plane means worker node 1 and worker node 2. In case if some more worker nodes are available here, then we call it as a uh, data plane. Okay, so there are four major components. One is API server, scheduler, controller, and etcd. Okay, so API server. So what happened in API server? Suppose it's a user. So user wanted to interact with API server or maybe wanted to schedule a job so that our jobs will run in container. So user will simply run some commands, kubectl schedule a pod or maybe run a pod. Then it will go to API server. So API server will check. It's again it will check in authorization and authentication whether user is authorized to run that command or whether that is command is not authorized. So we mean to say like this is a brain of our Kubernetes. So each and every decision will be taken from API server only. Okay. Scheduler. So what is scheduler does? Schedule pod to suitable node. So there are too many nodes are coming. So there were too many nodes and too many jobs are coming. So because jobs are always executing in the pod. So it's a decision of the scheduler to run the pod. So whether the pod will be coming in this worker node 1 or pod will be coming in worker node 2. And how the scheduler decides. The scheduler decide on behalf of pressure. How much memory pressure, how much disk pressure, how much what is the toleration is there, what state is there, and what kind of policies are implemented, what all network policies are implemented. So there are too many parameters which scheduler need to check. And in this way, scheduler decide what is the suitable node for this pod, either need to place here or need to place here, or maybe some more pods are available here. So this is all about scheduler. And the next part is a controller manager. So controller manager, what it does, controller manager is to monitor the replicas. It is monitoring the replica. Suppose we want 10 pods to run on this node. So it will keep monitoring whether 10 nodes are working or not, 10 pods are available or not. In case if 10 pods are not available, or maybe in case if one or two pod dies, then it will recreate some more pods. So this is the main task of controller manager. And we'll be going through some definition as well, which will be clearing the idea. But here I'll be telling like what is the Kubernetes architecture, and this is very important question. Definitely this question will be asked in interviews. So your first question will be what is a Kubernetes architecture. So this is a very important slide, so please go through this topic in a very deep manner. Okay, so next point is what is etcd. So what is etcd? Etcd we can assume like it's a stomach. So whatever the definition is the key value pair, it will be stored in a etcd only. So this etcd is very important, and most of the time we are taking backup of etcd. And so this is all about etcd. So and this is user interface. User will be interacting to Kube API server, and API server, I suppose 100 pods we need to run. So Kube API server will be checking whether authentication this user is authorized or authenticate whether or not. Then scheduler, and scheduler will find out a suitable node for it. And controller manager will keep on checking whether 100 pods are running or not, so that our jobs will schedule. And etcd again a database for it. So and this is the worker node 1, this is worker node 2. Okay, let's move toward a definition. What is Kube API server? The core component server that exposes the Kubernetes HTTP API. So this is the core component by which Kubernetes is exposing their APIs. So whenever a new request comes in, it's coming via HTTP via API, and it will be then a Kubernetes API server will be serving. The API server is a component of the Kubernetes control plane that exposes the Kubernetes API. The API server is the front end for the Kubernetes control plane. So this is again a control plane. So this is a front end. Whenever so user always interact with control plane only. ETCD. So ETCD that's the same thing I discussed. Like it contain a key value pair. Our entire database of control plane lies here. So like suppose how many pods are running. So this database entry will be there. So there are too many replication controller or maybe deployments. How many deployments are there? The entire history and data will be existing with etcd. In case of this etcd corrupt, then our Kubernetes will be having a problem. Cluster will be having problem. We have to repair it first because each and every decision. So once a task coming to API server, post executing, it will like a state will be existing in etcd only. So etcd is a very every component is important, but this is a database of it. Okay, consistently and highly available key value store for all API server data. So whatever the data comes in, it will be coming to etcd only. Now term comes a kube scheduler. Looks for a pod not yet bound to a node. So what this line says, it will be checking any node is any pod is wanted to schedule or any job wanted to run, and which one is the best. It's worker node 1 is best or worker node 2 is best, and assign each pod to suitable node. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Kubernetes controller manager. The Kubernetes controller manager is this one. This is monitoring the replicas. Runs controller to implement Kubernetes API behavior. It's constantly monitor the cluster state throughout the Kubernetes API server. This includes tracking the current configuration of pod deployment services and that. So what is the major task is just to monitor the replicas, whether the required number of replicas are running or not, whether same number of pods are available, whether number of deployments are running, services and other resources. So pods deployment and services will be going through deep dive on it. Okay, there are some more points to discuss here. What is kubectl? So kubectl and kubelet and kubeproxy. These are the three terms which will be coming all the times, which will be like you need to understand. So let's understand what is kubectl and kubelet and kubeproxy. So first of all is a kubectl. So what happened? Kubectl is an agent that run on each node in the cluster. It makes sure that containers are running in the pod. Okay, so kubectl. What kubectl does? Kubectl will be installing in our client machine, and from this kubectl, we'll be firing the commands to get the status of our deployment, to get the status of services. So kubectl is the way by which we'll be getting the status of the entire cluster. And what is kubelet? Kubelet is an agent that run on each node in the cluster. It makes sure that containers are running in a pod. So this is a kubelet. Okay, so this what does kubelet does? So kubelet is again an agent which is running on worker nodes, that is on a server. This is a kubelet. So again, whatever the status of this worker node, so each and everything it will be sharing to master node. Here it will be sharing it to master node. So that master node comes to know whether this node is healthy or not, worker one is healthy or not. So in case if worker node is not healthy, it will tell to master node, no, I'm not happy, I'm not available. So that it will make an entry, and all the entries, all the coming pods will be scheduled to this one only. So this is very important. Kubelet is very important. So what does kubelet? Kubelet is an agent that run on each node in the cluster. It makes sure the containers are running in the pod. So it makes sure that the containers running. It means like whatever the containers are running, it should run properly. So this is the responsibility of kubelet. So that it will be interacting with the master node. Master node may indirectly means API server. So kubelet will be interacting with API server that I need some more pods or its nodes are enough. I have a more memory pressure, disk pressure, networking policy. So each and everything is like an agent which is required to sync it. Suppose, let's take an example. Like this is a good friend of it. So it will be telling each and everything about the status of the this node, whether how many memory disk I need some more ports or not. Similar way. Now, next point is proxy. So proxy is a network policy that run on each node in your cluster, implementing part of Kubernetes service concept. Proxy is a network proxy. So proxy is a network proxy. In a layman term, we can say proxy is a networking configuration. Some networking configuration is running for a prod. So it may be a separate subnet, which is we are planning for this pods to come. So this proxy will be available in each and every node. So let's move toward right side. So in a layman language, what we are calling is, so this is worker one and this is worker two. So kubelet is installed here and kubelet installed here. So it says like a report status to master server. So kubelet will report the status to master, and worker 2 will also report its status to master. And here is a proxy. Proxy means a networking layer which is available in the worker node, so that what it's like a Kubernetes network configuration. So one is a by default configuration which we what we are giving to our worker nodes, which will be are getting from DNS server somewhere, sorry, from DHCP server. But again, so this one is a proxy. So this network is from Kubernetes. Okay, so what other things kubectl does it? So this one we are talking about kubectl, the third definition. Kubectl stands for Kubernetes command line interface. So this is again a command line interface. So whenever we run kubectl some command, so it's a we'll be running from command line, and it's a primary command line tool for interacting with and managing Kubernetes cluster. So this command will be using most of the kubectl command will be using most of the time to interact with cluster or manage our cluster or doing some changes. So this is the only command which by which we will be interacting with the Kubernetes cluster, allowing to resource, inspect resource and view logs. Kubectl is a client for the Kubernetes API, which is an HTTP REST API that allow user to interact with and control the Kubernetes cluster. So this is again an Kubernetes. So this part master node having an API. So kubectl will be connecting with a master with the help of API calls. So kubectl will be doing some API calls and it will be giving to master. And once it is coming to master, then it will be interacting with some worker nodes. Okay, you can use kubectl to deploy application, inspect and manage cluster, view logs, create, get, describe, delete, and apply resource. So what it says, like it is used to deploy some application, inspect an application, manage Kubernetes cluster, viewing its logs, create, get, describe. So so there are too many things which we'll be covering in next session. So this is all about kubelet, proxy, and kubectl. So three terminology we have discussed, and some more terminology like for Kubernetes architecture, API server, scheduler, controller master, and etcd. So some more topic will be covering in next session. Hope it's a wonderful. Thank you. Have a nice day.